Huckabee, sir, I'm pleased to have you here.
Well, thank you.
I'm very grateful. I'm going to do rapid fire with you.
All right.
Yes or no, you can expand on them if you wish, but I'd prefer to get through them and then maybe we come back to them. You just say, I want to come back and explain that one, all right? Wiretaps, the Patriot Act. We're at war. You do what you have to do to win as long as it has a sunset attached to it.
No.
Okay. We need to build a fence. What the hell? Let's build two.
You mean two
on the borders?
North and south?
Yeah, north and south.
Yeah, absolutely.
Illegal immigration is a huge threat to our nation.
Yes.
Spending is out of control. Politicians need to cut programs knowing that some of those programs will be good.
Yes.
Which program would you cut?
Oh, let's come back to that one.
Okay. We need to support a coal-to-oil program.
A coal-to-oil program?
Coal-to-oil program.
I think we need to get rid of most fossil fuels and go to wind and solar and nuclear and biomass fuels and everything. But in the meantime, interim, coal, yes, and even domestically produced oil out of the Arctic refuge and the intercontinental shelf.
Are you going to eat caribou? Is that what you're saying to me? That you're going to shoot the poor little baby caribou?
I would love to, because I'd like to have one in the freezer and one on the wall.
One of my producers had caribou this weekend. It's very good stuff. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? By the way, what do you think of Al Gore?
I'm glad he's the former vice president.
Yes. He deserved that medal, though, didn't he? I mean, he was up against the woman who only saved 2,500 kids. I'm sorry. Let's see. We must rid ourselves of foreign oil reliance.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe that a North American alliance in the style of the EU is our future.
It's our death.
Do you believe do you believe in the NAFTA superhighway, that this is just kind of, you know, the government never puts these things out on the table. They always just put a little here and a little here, and then they deny what? No, we're not doing that.
Anytime we give up anything of our sovereignty, whether it's our borders or our laws or our regulations, we have violated our own Constitution. The answer is no.
Do you believe that that is some people's plan, to put that whole NAFTA superhighway?
I think it's some people's plan. I don't know if it's the president's plan, but I do believe there are those who think that's a grand idea, and I think it's a terrible idea.
English needs to be our official language.
Absolutely.
My kids attend public school.
Yes. In fact, I was the first governor in 50 years whose children attended only the public schools of Arkansas for their entire 1st through 12th grade education.
One of the biggest problems in our country is special interest groups.
I don't think it's a problem. The problem is that government lets special interest groups run over them. That's the problem. Special interest groups are simply letting people express their First Amendment freedoms.
Teachers union is a large obstacle in the way of fixing our schools.
Could be, but it doesn't have to be. I think sometimes they are, not always, though.
Companies should receive crippling fines if they repeatedly, knowingly hire illegal immigrants.
Yes.
I would vote against what my constituents want if I believe they're wrong.
I would have to face them and tell them why, and be willing to suffer the political consequences.
Okay. I'll take that as a yes, then?
Yeah.
I would vote against my party if I believe they're wrong.
Absolutely.
Where was my party was wrong about?
Spending, about negotiating away the sanctity of human life, about acting as if those issues aren't important, about failing to stand against corruption. Those are some things right away.
The other party is right about what?
I'm going to have to scratch my head on that one. And I've often said Democrats aren't wrong on everything, but I can't think of anything right offhand about which I want to embrace. Because I think they're wrong on the war, they're wrong on taxes, they're wrong on spending, they're wrong on the sanctity of life, they're wrong on their idea to completely rewrite the rules of marriage. You know, I'm not sure where I go.
Well,
I'll work on it.
All right,
I'll come up with something.
The president is most right about?
His understanding of the threat of Islamofascism, that we really are at war.
Tell me about that. Tell me about Ahmadinejad. Who is he? What is he planning? Do you take him at his word, or I've heard, and I believe it was Romney that said he was a buffoon. Is he a buffoon, or is he...
Oh, I think he played one at the UN, and certainly in his speech at Columbia, but he's not a complete buffoon. He is a danger, he's a threat, but even more so is the person who controls his string, which is the Ayatollah. I think we need to understand that Iran has a relatively weak presidency compared to ours. So he personally is not our greatest threat. What our greatest threat is the ideology that drives this whole Islamofascist movement. Now, quite frankly, Iran is still a nation state. What worries me more is the Islamofascism that results in these terror cells, which are not tied to a nation, not tied to a state. They're not tied to a flag, a country, a nationality, or borders. They're everywhere, and that's what's going to really raise up and bite us if we're not totally vigilant.
Tell me about Speaker Pelosi trying to get the what was it? The genocide.
With the Turks?
Yeah, with the Turks. You know, the what do you call it? The passage of the slap against the face against the Turks for the genocide in, what was it, 1914?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the timing is all about. I mean, it's one thing if we're going to deal with all these issues, but why right now, with the tension that we have at the Turkish border and the situation in Iraq, why we would bring that up right now, I don't know.
You're a biblical guy. You're a preacher. Do you believe we are possibly facing end-time scenarios with any of the events that we're seeing?
You know, every generation has thought that they were, and we could be, but we don't ever act like, okay, this is it, so we just sit back and coast and ride it out to the end. We always act as if it could be today, but we also plan as if it could be 100,000 years from now.
So what is it that is in us that stops so many Americans? I don't think we've ever faced a threat like we are facing now. I don't even think Germany is the threat that we're facing right now. We're facing, I believe, our possible annihilation as a country.
You're exactly right.
6 different angles.
Well, and that's the problem with Germany or with any other enemy we've ever had. It was at least localized to a degree. There were boundaries and borders. There were flags. There were insignia. There was ideology that drove it. What we have here is, in essence, a move toward a different type of theocracy. And the reason many Americans don't understand it is because they try to westernize Islamofascism. You can't do that because with Islamofascism, you have the perfect, complete marriage of the religion and the government toward the caliphate, and when you do that, you have something that is insidiously dangerous because it doesn't have to have any type of traditional geopolitical lines of attack. And that's why there are terror cells on every continent, they're everywhere, and these are not people with whom we can negotiate because they have one thing in mind: our annihilation and their complete domination of the earth.
The other guy from Hope, Arkansas. We'll be back in just a second with Mike Huckabee. We're back with the final minutes with GOP presidential candidate Governor Mike Huckabee. I got to tell you, you hacked me off. I was hoping I could write you off as a candidate after this hour, and I can't. You're a genuine guy. I don't know. You know, I come home, I drive home and go talk to my wife, and I say, "You got to watch this. You got to watch this. Look at his eyes. I could tell that he was lying, or I could see it right there, or whatever." Television does not do justice to people because you can't really tell a lot of the times. You're a real, genuine guy, and I believe you believe the things that you are saying.
I have to. You know, Glenn, I told you during the break, my dad taught me one simple thing: tell the truth. You don't ever remember what you said the next time. Yeah. If people want to reject me as their president, I want them to know what they're rejecting. So I'm not going to, tell them something I don't believe. I'll be honest with them, and if I get thrown out, then so be it.
Well, my dad used to say, "You're too stupid to lie." So I think the same kind of thing. Tell me why, because I've heard a lot from my audience about you. Tell me why Ron Paul is raising more money, yet you have higher approval ratings, and he's outraising you. Why?
Well, there's a strong base of support for Ron Paul because he's a libertarian, and he's the only candidate that the libertarians have. And I understand that completely. He's got a very fanatic group. There are a lot of us who are what I'd call more true Republicans, but yet what's happened, I didn't start with a lot of money. And the way this game works right now is that if you have money, you can get money. If you don't start with money, it's harder to get it. But I think when you look at what we've done with the little we've had, it's pretty remarkable. And it shows that there is a growing support. And I'm convinced that when this thing is over, I'm going to still be standing. Okay,
who would you pick for vice president if you're running? Is it Stephen Colbert? Because...
Well, I think he'll turn me down, but I did promise since he was the first to ask me.
And who would you run as a second on a ticket if you were asked?
I'm not going for the silver medal. I'm still shooting for the gold. And I know that I'm trying to be coy, but if I ever start thinking, okay, I'll just settle for second, I'll get there. I'm wanting to be president because I really believe that I can provide the best and most clear leadership this country needs.
10 seconds. Leave America with one thing you want them to know about you.
that I am who I am today, and it's the same person I was a year ago, 10 years ago, and the same person I'm going to be 20 years from now. My convictions are what they are, and they're based on some deep, hardcore principles, and I think that matters. Authenticity and consistency.
Governor Mike Huckabee.
Thank you, Glenn.
What a pleasure, sir.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. America,